Shawn Diddy Combs stood as one of the most influential figures in hip hop and entertainment. But the image of a billionaire hitmaker collapsed the moment he stood in court, no longer as a mogul, but as a convicted criminal. His sentencing marked a dramatic and public unraveling of his life, legacy, and power. The courtroom was tense as Diddy faced the judge who would decide his fate. His legal team fought hard for leniency, pushing the idea that time served and his supposed transformation should be enough. They portrayed him as a man who had lost his way but was ready to start anew. However, the prosecution countered with a vastly different picture. A man with a long pattern of abuse, intimidation, and manipulation who had used his wealth and influence to silence victims. Diddy's conviction came after almost 2 years of investigations, raids on his properties, leaked footage, and shocking revelations about his conduct behind the scenes. Prosecutors originally pushed for 11 years in prison, citing his history of violence and the trauma suffered by numerous women connected to him. The defense tried to highlight his philanthropy, business ventures, and mentorship within music and fashion, but that wasn't enough to overshadow the evidence. Judge Arun Subramanian ultimately sentenced him to 50 months in federal prison, significantly less than prosecutors demanded, but far more than his lawyers hoped for. The judge made it clear that this wasn't just about punishing one man, but about sending a broader message. Power and fame do not excuse violence. As the sentence was read, witnesses say Diddy stood still but emotionally overwhelmed. His children, who moments or two earlier begged the court for mercy, watched their father become inmate instead of icon. Friends and industry allies began to distance themselves, and for the first time in his life, Diddy faced consequences without the shield of celebrity. The sentencing didn't just strike Diddy. It sent shockwaves through his entire inner circle. His family, long seen as a symbol of unity and luxury, appeared fractured under the weight of the verdict. In the courtroom, his children delivered emotional appeals, pleading with the judge to show mercy. They spoke about the father they knew, supportive, charismatic, and protective, but those heartfelt words couldn't erase the testimonies and evidence presented by the prosecution. After the sentence was handed down, reactions within the family reportedly split into two camps. Some accepted the ruling quietly, recognizing that the allegations and conviction were rooted in years of behavior that could no longer be hidden. Others were angry, blaming the media, government, and so-called opportunists for tearing down their father. Behind closed doors, insiders claim intense arguments erupted over how to manage the family's public image and preserve their business interests. On social media, public sentiment was divided. Some fans expressed disbelief, calling the case a targeted attempt to destroy a successful black entrepreneur. But the majority felt the conviction was overdue, especially after the disturbing videos and testimonies came to light. Hashtags demanding justice for the victims trended across platforms, while longtime collaborators unfollowed him, canceled deals, or scrubbed past associations. Brands that once praised Diddy for his cultural impact suddenly went silent. His businesses, Shawn, C-Rock partnerships, and media ventures faced immediate financial and reputational damage. Investors pulled back, endorsements vanished, and music platforms quietly demoted his presence in playlists and features. Perhaps the most telling fallout came from fellow celebrities. Instead of words of support, many opted for distance. Some spoke anonymously to reporters, revealing they had witnessed his darker side for years, but stayed silent out of fear or loyalty. Others simply moved on, unwilling to risk their careers by defending him publicly. With the verdict finalized, the illusion of untouchability around Diddy shattered, leaving only the consequences he had long avoided. Diddy's 50-month sentence may have closed one chapter, but legally, his troubles are far from over. Multiple civil lawsuits remain active, with several women alleging years of assault, coercion, and intimidation. His conviction has strengthened these cases, making settlements or further trials almost inevitable. Lawyers representing the plaintiffs now have powerful leverage, and some insiders believe more accusers may come forward over time. Right? Federal investigators are also rumored to be looking into potential racketeering, trafficking, and financial crimes tied to his inner circle and business operations. The raids on his homes in Los Angeles and Miami reportedly uncovered electronic devices, security footage, and documents that could lead to additional charges. Even if no new criminal cases emerge, the civil damages alone could dismantle large parts of his fortune. In the entertainment industry, a code of silence has taken over. While few speak publicly, private conversations have shifted from shock to self-preservation. Artists who owe their careers to Diddy are quietly rewriting their narratives, distancing themselves without appearing disloyal. Some industry veterans hint that his downfall could expose deeper networks of abuse and cover-ups involving other influential names. Music executives are already re-evaluating royalties, publishing rights, and contractual ties linked to him. Television projects featuring him have been pulled, his cameos cut, and his name stripped from event lineups and honorary boards. Networks that once highlighted him as a cultural icon now avoid even mentioning him unless it's tied to the case. Meanwhile, activists and legal experts see his sentencing as a turning point. For years, powerful men in entertainment dodged accountability with legal pressure, NDAs, and intimidation tactics. Diddy's conviction signals that influence may no longer guarantee protection. As the legal and financial aftershocks intensify, one thing is clear. This was not just a fall from grace, but the unraveling of an empire built on more than music and money. With the sentence handed down and his empire cracking, the question now is, what remains of Shawn Diddy Combs, both the man and the legacy? Once praised as a visionary who shaped hip-hop culture and built billion-dollar brands, he now faces the reality of being remembered not for his music, but for his misconduct. His companies are either shrinking or collapsing under pressure. Revolt, the media network he once proudly helmed, has distanced itself. Shawn, the fashion label he once bought back in a flashy deal, is losing relevance. Liquor partners and sponsors that once sought his influence now see him as a liability. Behind the scenes, financial strategists are scrambling to protect what's left of his assets from lawsuits and seizures. Culturally, the erasure has already begun. Award shows that once honored him are cutting ties. Documentaries, tributes, and playlists have been edited to remove his image and name. Younger artists, who once called him a mentor, now avoid any public association to protect their careers. Even the bad boy legacy, once a proud symbol of 90s hip-hop, is being reevaluated under the weight of new revelations. In prison, Diddy will no longer live as a mogul, but as inmate to the federal system. His defense team may pursue appeals, but without strong grounds, any effort to overturn the sentence is likely to fail. When he gets out, he'll be a convicted felon entering a world that has already moved on. But the biggest battle ahead isn't legal. It's narrative. Can he craft a comeback story, or will history remember him the way it remembers fallen tycoons like R. Kelly and Harvey Weinstein? For the first time in decades, his future is no longer in his hands. And for those who watched him rise, rule, and fall, the message is loud. Fame delayed his consequences, but it could not erase them.